Hi fabulous people, I'm Yvonne Sims. We've been on this journey looking at how to break the chains of domestic violence. In the first episode, we discussed accepting reality, seeing things as they are. The next episode, we looked at accepting responsibility for moving your life forward if you're in an abusive relationship or marriage. And then in the third episode, we looked at renewing your mind, getting your mind right, and, making sure that you're in a healthy place that you can now begin to move forward. And so the next step is actually developing a safety plan. One of the biggest mistakes that a lot of domestic violence survivors make, either on their own or because their friends say get out, is they just up and try to leave. And it sets them up for failure. It normally takes a woman 7 times to try to leave before she's successful. And when she does, she's 50% more likely to actually experience serious harm, even to the point of death. So it's really important that you develop a safety plan. The National Domestic Violence Hotline describes a safety plan as a personalized and practical plan that actually helps you develop what it is you're going to do while you're in an abusive marriage to keep yourself safe, while you're transitioning out, or while you're actually out of it. Because just because you leave doesn't mean that this person is not going to come after you. And so let's look at some of the things that a safety plan actually contains. Well, the first thing that is really important for you to define in your safety plan for yourself and for your children or child is how you and your child or children are going to react in the event that violence all of a sudden erupts. So if you have a spouse or a significant other that is prone to outbursts and physically beating you, or outbursts that scare the children, what do you want them to do? Where do you want them to go? An example would be from my own life. When I was in an abusive marriage, I actually told my daughter that if she ever didn't feel safe, and that was based on how she felt. Like if my husband came home and he exploded and he started yelling and screaming and throwing stuff, we didn't know where that was going to go. And so our safety plan said that she was to leave the house and go to a neighbor's house and stay there until I went and got her. So tell your children, where do they go? Who can they trust? Outline those things and explain them to your children so that they are empowered and you know where your children are in the event that violence breaks out in your home. The second thing is you need to make sure that you know what you need in the event that you have to suddenly flee. Now, this one is really important. It's where the reason why you can't just up and leave. When I say what things do you need, so this is vital documents. So you need to make sure that you collect your passports, your identifications, your birth certificates for yourself, for your children, school records, immunization, you name it. If there's titles to the house, 401ks, all those things, begin to collect those and put them in one place so that if you have to suddenly leave with your children because the violence is imminent and you feel threatened to that extent, you have those things with you. You should assume that when you leave the house, the marital house, the house that you live in with this abusive spouse or significant other, that you may never get back in. Very important, beloved. Make sure that you collect those things and you really think through what do you need and assume you will not be able to get back in. Don't be surprised if they go back through and they start destroying your documents and things just to be vindictive. Expect it. The third thing is that make sure that you have a contact list of people that you can trust and you can confide in, that you have their names and phone numbers somewhere, again, with you. If you don't have it memorized and assume that maybe your phone gets taken from you, where is that contact data residing? It might be with a friend. It might be hidden somewhere that you can get, but make sure you have contact detail. Now, beloved, listen to me. You don't need an army of people to support you when you're going through this. As a matter of fact, I recommend that you get a small group of people or a person, if that's all you have, that you can confide and you can trust in, that you know that on a moment's notice, if you need to pick up the phone or call them and say, come get me, or meet me at this location, you already have a location determined, that you know you can call on them. But have that list together. It's really important, beloved, that you know who you can trust. And often before you tell people about abuse, start with basic stuff and see how they respond to that, because you don't want to confide in somebody who will turn around and violate the confidence that you have put in them and tell your abusive spouse or significant other. The next step is developing a plan for how you will safely get out. You may decide that the only way for you to safely get out is to get a domestic violence order of protection, or DVPO as they refer to in the state of North Carolina. Domestic violence order protection, if granted by the courts, tells that your abuser that they cannot come near you. It could also say they could not come near your children, near your job, near your work, and it provides a level of protection around you for a given time. It could be for 3 months, 6 months, a year, or years, depending on the severity of the abuse, but that's totally up to the judge. But what it does is it puts a protection around you and your children that says that if that abuser violates in any form or fashion, comes near you within a certain distance of you or your children or your place of business or the place you're residing, they automatically go to jail. And that's very important. That doesn't stop someone who's crazy from being crazy, but it at least puts a physical barrier there for you. It also, too, gives you an opportunity to safely get out the house, because that person is served, that person is potentially, put out the house, and it allows you to get your stuff together and get out. Know whether you need that or not. Now, if you feel like you can get out without having to do that, that's one thing. But also keep in mind that without a plan, knowing where you will go, who you will tell, how you will support yourself, how you'll take care of your children, whether your children will stay in the daycare or the schools, or you're going to move. Without those things in place, you are setting yourself up for failure. It takes a woman usually 7 attempts before she actually makes the final decision to get out. One of the worst things that you can do is actually leave and then go back. When you leave, you're basically hitting the hornet's nest. You've got that abuser on high alert that you're beginning to get strong enough to the point where you believe that you are capable of making it without them. Remember, domestic violence is about power and control. And as frightening as it is, the thought of you taking care of yourself and taking care of yourself with your children, or transitioning and getting away from this, unstable person, your well-being, your health, and your stability is number one. I want to encourage you. I did it. I know the fear that comes with it. But at the end of the day, I'm telling you, on the other side of things, there is freedom, there is healing, there is love, and you are worthy of it. Until next time, beloved, be strong and courageous.